Cheesy the Podcast, presented by Just Cheesy Productions.
Hi there, I'm your host, Fondue.
I'm Cheesy.
In this week's episode, we're going to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and we're going to do a deep dive into Irish cheese.
Whoa.
We're going to talk about a one-horned cow.
A unicorn.
We're going to discover knitting needle and cheese making,
Whoa.
and we're going to find out how a Dutch couple changed Cork forever.
Wow.
And of course, we're going to tell a very cheesy joke.
I love a joke.
Stay tuned for Luck with the Cheese on Just Cheesy the Podcast. According to nationaltoday.com, March 17th is St. Patrick's Day.
Green beer and cheese.
I'd say historically this day's changed just a little bit.
I'm wearing green.
Oh, I bet you are.
Yeah.
Initially, this was a religious feast day.
Oh.
It commemorated the famed Irish patron saint who brought Christianity to Ireland.
Whoa.
And it ended up being celebrated almost globally, the article says.
Holy cow.
And it's changed a little bit. It usually
Okay.
involves copious amounts of beer
Yep.
and whiskey shooters.
And cheese.
They list here, it's celebrated in more countries around the world than any other single-day national festival.
Holy cow.
And of course, the very first parade held in honor of St. Patrick took place
Ireland?
in America, not Ireland.
Oh.
The parade took place in 1601
Whoa.
in what is now St. Augustine, Florida.
Wow.
And today, the world's biggest St. Patrick's Day celebration is in New York City, where
Of
more than
course.
2 million spectators line up on the parade route.
Whoa.
And everyone claims to be Irish, at least for the day.
Like me.
But just like everything else on this podcast, the only thing we celebrate all the time is cheese. And apparently, Irish cheese goes back well over 1,000 years.
Whoa.
According to the Irish Food Board website boardbia.ie, Irish monks were actually exporting cheesemaking knowledge to the mainland Europe as early as 620 AD.
Respect.
They exported their expertise to places like Switzerland and then again in Munster in 668 AD.
Whoa.
And Sheridan's Cheesemongers.com talks about a 12th century document.
Wow.
It told the story of how a poet travels to the southwest of Ireland trying to rid the gluttonous king of a hunger demon.
Whoa.
It talks about a sweet, soft, smooth cheese and a firm, dry cheese.
Yum.
They say when the Irish monks traveled across Europe, they reintroduced many lost skills during the medieval period, including cheesemaking skills.
Wow.
But that tradition died out over the centuries.
Oh.
Famine, land displacement, economic hardship.
Oh, no.
By the mid-20th century, Ireland was primarily a butter country.
What?
Cheese had almost completely disappeared from Irish farmhouse culture.
No.
Ireland didn't simply drift toward butter. It was a combination of economics, famine, and export policy.
Oh, no.
Irish estates had long exported butter and hard cheese through Cork to supply England and the Royal Navy, and the sugar colonies of the West Indies.
Wow.
Butter was the more profitable commodity. It was easier to transport, higher in value, and more useful to trade.
Wow.
Butter survived as an export. Farmhouse cheesemaking, which was labor-intensive and local, did not.
Aw.
By the mid-20th century, it had nearly vanished entirely.
Whoa.
It wasn't until 1976 that cheese had a revival in Ireland.
Wow.
You see, Veronica Steele and her husband Norman bought a farm, and then they had a cow. That cow's name was Brisket.
Oh, that's a name.
And Brisket produced about 3 gallons of milk every day.
Whoa.
Brisket had a little bit of an incident. She
Oh,
was
no.
bounding down a hill. Her tail was waving.
Oh.
She was full of the joys of spring, and then her brakes must have failed, they said.
Oh, no.
Apparently, Brisket fell the rest of the way down the hill
Oh.
and lost a horn.
Aw.
They had to put Stockholm tar on the hole right through the hot summer.
Whoa.
Brisket basically ended up a unicorn with only one horn.
A unicorn.
But Veronica loved that cow. She produced more milk than the family could use, and Veronica couldn't bear to waste it,
Yeah.
so she started making cheese.
Wow.
And that cheese became Milleen's, and it sparked the entire modern Irish farmhouse cheese movement.
Go Brisket.
Brisket the cow is not a sponsor, but
Nope.
if she were, the ad would go right here. Have you ever wanted to listen to the web?
Yeah,
Well, Newsly makes that possible.
they do.
They're an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android.
Super app.
You can listen to trending articles on the web on topics that you choose and get them read to you in a natural human voice.
What kind of topics?
Sports,
Cheese?
tech, business, science.
Cheese?
I'm sure there's even cheese.
Yay!
They even have an entire section for podcasts.
Are we there?
Of course we are.
Ooh.
It's one of my new favorite podcast apps. They even have digital radio.
Holy cow.
Just go to www.newsly.me to download it free.
Whoa.
Or use the link in the description. If you use the promo code CHEESY, that'll get you 1 month free premium subscription.
Yay, Newsly.
Now, back to the podcast. Brisket, the one-horned cow, may have saved Irish cheese,
A unicorn.
but at the same time, a Dutch couple packed up their lives and moved from the Netherlands to the mountains of County Cork.
Wow.
They missed the cheeses of home, so they started making it themselves.
Wow.
And the result was coulier.
Oh.
I do not know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, named after the valley where they settled.
Goodness.
And it became one of Ireland's most celebrated farmhouse cheeses.
Wow.
This is according to tasteatlas.com.
They showed up and said, hold my Gouda.
That's right, they did. Now let's talk a little bit about Cashel Blue.
Okay.
According to cashelblue.com, this is probably Ireland's most famous cheese internationally.
Whoa.
And it's the one with a direct St. Patrick's Day connection.
Okay.
It's named after the Rock of Cashel, the ancient site where St. Patrick himself began converting Ireland to Christianity in the 5th century.
Wow.
As legend would have it, in the early days, Jane Grubb made Cashel Blue by hand in her farmhouse kitchen.
She did?
And she used something a little bit handy, I guess.
Okay.
To let air circulate into the wheels of cheese so the blue mold could develop, she used knitting needles.
What?
She actually pierced each wheel by hand with her knitting needles.
It's like she knitted cheese.
The wheels were aged in the earthen cellar beneath the farmhouse, which worked until, according to culturecheesemag.com, they were advised that the Penicillium roqueforti mold growing on the cheese could actually undermine the structural stability of the house above it.
Whoa.
The cheese was literally threatening to eat the building.
It was trying to escape.
You can say that again.
It was trying to escape.
And if you think that's odd, because proper cheesemaking equipment was expensive and hard to come by in rural Ireland in the late 1970s, early farmhouse cheesemakers used whatever they could as molds.
Whoa.
That's right, they used whatever they could.
Oh.
The most common solution?
What?
Large water pipes.
Really?
Sourced from local co-ops.
Okay.
And according to bibliocook.com, the result is that today, Cashel Blue is still only 1.5 kilograms because the size was determined entirely by the diameter of the original pipes.
Wow.
Plumbing supplies literally changed cheese history.
I'm ready for a joke, Fondue.
Okay, why did cheese wear green on St. Patrick's Day?
I don't know.
Because it didn't want to look blue. Get it? Didn't want to look
Yeah.
blue like blue cheese?
Yeah, they're getting bad.
Oh, I know. They're all bad now.
Yeah.
But they're always a little bit cheesy. Thanks for listening to Just Cheesy the Podcast episode Let's Owe the Cheese. Please do
you.
us a favor if you haven't in a while. Please make
Yeah.
sure to go to your podcast player and hit download.
Yeah.
Also, if you have the opportunity, depending on the player, make sure to like
Please.
or subscribe. It really, really helps our show.
And stay cheesy, everybody.